Welcome back to the SOR-EHS podcast where SHEroes meet. I am so excited for tonight. I have a dear friend of mine. Ebonyck has agreed to grace us with her presence. Get your pens. I got my pen ready. I got my
Stop it.
notebook ready. You guys, this woman does it all. So if you ever need a mom advice, tonight is the night that you're going to
Wow.
get it. So get your pen and your paper. Ebonyck, just a little plug. She is a mom. She is a wife. She is a nurse practitioner. She is a small business owner. Okay. She makes candles. And on top of that, she also works in the wedding industry. Don't ask me how this woman is still standing. Don't ask me how she does it. But tonight she's going to spill the tea for us. Ebonyck, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that welcome. That was nice.
Of course. I love
And
you,
don't
girl.
forget to tell them we were roommates in
Yes.
college.
Oh my goodness. We were college roommates, child. That's how I know her. I usually say that too. Mom brain. We were college roommates. So we go way back, way back. We've been in the trenches for a while. So, was in her wedding. She was in my wedding. And then she became motherhood. So then a mom first. So I was able to watch after her and ask some questions. So she literally has paved the way. I've just been following in her footsteps.
You're
like,
right. You're
like
right.
literally.
You're right. But thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. And I'm proud of you. This is so you. This is all you.
Thank you. I feel like I finally figured out what I'm supposed to be doing in life at 35
Hmm.
years young. So everybody
Hmm.
out there, it doesn't matter what age you are. Sometimes it just takes you a little bit longer to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. But I really
For
do
sure.
appreciate you because this definitely is aligning for me. So I love it. I love it.
No problem.
Tell everybody how many kids you have and how old they are so we have context of what we're dealing with here.
Sure. So I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name is Madison. Call her
Mhm.
Maddie. And then I have twin babies. They're boys. They're 1 years old, or some people want to go by months. They're 14 months.
Right.
And Maddox and Milo.
I love
So
those
all
names.
M's, Madison, Milo, Maddox.
I love that. All
Like my
M's.
tattoo. You see? What can I get on
Oh yeah, that's cute. See, that's so cute. I
it?
love that. I love that. How
Thank you.
has motherhood changed for you now that you have twins? Like you went from one to three. Most of us, like me, go from one to two, but you literally went from one to three. So how has it been with twins? Like walk me through that experience, walk me through that journey. How are you
You want the
handling
whole
it?
journey?
Tell us as much as you want to share.
It's been very rewarding. Of course, I love my kids, but it's been challenging
Right,
for the most part. Like
right,
it's literally double everything and triple if you want to add in Maddie.
right,
But like carrying them, it was pretty easy until the end.
right.
And then, I started to have problems with the pregnancy. Like one baby wasn't growing as much. And so I had doctor's appointments, I think like 2 to 3 times a week, like towards the
Wow.
end.
Right,
And then had the babies a year ago in October. Delivery went well at first.
right,
They
right.
came out fine. And then shortly after, I'll tell me if I'm telling too much.
No, you're good. You're good. I love it. I love it. Be real.
um, Shortly after, we were in the recovery room, and one baby had to go to NICU, and so my husband Chris was holding the other baby, and then all of a sudden, like I just started losing a lot of blood.
Oh my
So
God.
within, I don't know, like 20 minutes, I lost 3 liters of blood.
Oh my God.
And so Chris was like, that was like the craziest thing ever. He's like, I saw your eyes rolling back, and I was just like freaking
Oh,
out. And at that point, like I've never felt myself like slip, but I felt myself like slipping,
that is
and I
so
could just
scary.
hear people like in panic mode.
Right.
So long story short, I went back to the OR, had to put some type of balloon pump in me, and then they were able to stop the bleeding. Thank
Thank
God.
God. Thank God.
Yeah. So all that happened. Fast forward, the boys are doing well. I'm doing well.
Good.
But after I had them, maybe like 4 months later, you know how you have that woman intuition, like something ain't right.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I was like, and my back was starting to hurt more, and I was like looking at my stomach, like, okay, I'm working out, I'm eating right, trying to snap back, you know, like we try to
Right. That
do.
we try to
But it
do.
wasn't happening.
Right.
Like nothing was happening. So I
As
went to my
most of us.
OB. I know. I went to my OB and she's like immediately sent me to a surgeon. And I had a severe hernia, so my abdominal wall had separated after I had the twins. So how old were they? They were 6 months old when I went back to the OR.
Oh my gosh.
I had a 7 hour surgery.
Oh my gosh.
So I did that. That was this past April. Still recovering in some ways, but
Right.
it's just like since I've had them, it's kind of been like back to back to back to back
Right.
things happening.
Right.
Like, you know, so I haven't like at first I felt like I wasn't able to like fully enjoy them because I was going through all this medical stuff and like trying
Right.
to recover from that.
Right.
But now that I'm like I literally had to like learn how to walk. I had a walker in here and everything.
Right. Right.
But now that I'm like healed for the most part, I love them. It's just
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so much, girl. You know how I am. I'm super organized
Right. Right.
and like to the T. So
Right.
like we've had, you know, nannies help us because me and Chris' families, they're not here. They live in
Right.
Chicago, California, New York, they're everywhere. So
Right.
I mean we have a lot of close friends here, but you know, everybody's busy. You don't want to
Right.
always be like, you know, they
Can you
got
come
kids
help
too.
me? Right.
Yeah, they got
Right.
kids too. So
Right.
we ended up hiring nannies and they've been like such a blessing to us. Like
Right.
I don't know
Good.
how we would do it without them.
Good.
But yeah, it's a learning process
It definitely
for
is.
sure.
Listen, thank you for sharing all of that. And I do want to pull apart some of the things that you did share because I think that listeners need to take some tidbits of what you said. So when you were losing all that blood, I'm guessing Chris was there to advocate for you, like something's wrong. Because what we're hearing right now in society is that, especially Black women, we're dying in childbirth. So I'm thankful to God that you're here with us. But when you started feeling yourself slipping, who advocated for you in that moment? Was it you, like something's wrong? Was it the
No,
nurses?
it
Like,
wasn't me. I couldn't see down there. Like I
right.
didn't know. Like,
Okay.
and I was still like fairly numb, you know, because I had
Right.
a C-section with the twins,
Right.
so I didn't even know.
Right.
I heard Chris and I heard the nurse talking, and
Mm,
the nurse was actually asking Chris, "Can you help me?"
right.
Like, because it was
Wow.
yeah, like it was like so much blood, and Chris, you know, he ain't that type to be like seeing blood and all that stuff. Thank God he
Most men are
but
about to
yeah,
pass out. Like, oh my God.
but yeah, he was like my encourager. Like he was like he calls me Booski, so he's like
Mm,
Booski, it's okay. Like I just need you to stay awake because I was literally
mm,
like I was
mm.
losing it,
Right. Right.
and he was holding Milo at the
Mm,
time.
right. Right.
So it was just all of this, him worrying about the other twin in the NICU. He had Milo, then he worried about me. But I feel like him, as well as the nurse I had, they both were my advocates. Like,
Good.
thankfully, I had a good nurse, you know,
Good.
and she
Good.
knew like to call the doctor, and the doctor was there like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. Like some people don't have that,
Exactly.
and then things happen. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So yeah, definitely both of them were my advocates.
Definitely, it's important in choosing the right spouse and partner to have kids with because literally it could mean life or death sometimes. So I'm
And
so glad.
doctors too.
Doctors too, yes. Let's talk about that for a second.
And they don't gotta be Black.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And that's true. You just need to have somebody who is genuinely cares about your well-being, your children's
Yeah, for
well-being.
sure.
Go through reviews, word of mouth. If you know another mom that used a doctor and they said,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, this doctor was great," that's where you need to go
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes in childbirth that could mean your life. So make sure you're putting your
Yeah.
life in really, really good hands. So I'm really glad
Yeah,
they were
for
there
sure.
to advocate for you. And then the other thing you
Yeah.
said is, you have a tribe there, you don't have family, but you do have friends. But sometimes outside of friends, when you have kids, you need help. And I think it's okay if you need nannies. It's okay if you need that extra help. And I think moms, sometimes we think we can just do it all. We're like, oh, we're super moms.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be like, hey, I need some extra help. I need to do whatever I need to do, whether it's work, whether it's sleep, whatever it is. Just giving yourself permission to have that extra help, I think, is huge. So I'm so glad you said that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
that's real right there.
Yeah.
Like if you can afford it, I would say definitely do it because like I feel like I would have went into probably like postpartum depression
Right.
because I was almost there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like if I didn't get help, because it was just like too much. It was too
Right.
much. And then at the
Right.
same time, like you want to make sure like Maddie is still getting enough
Yeah.
attention and all of
Right.
that,
Right.
and then still healing. So it's like, yeah, let me get on Google and see what nanny websites are out there. And I literally, like I vetted them myself,
Of
like
course. Of course. With your kids, you about to make sure they're good. Of
yeah, like
course.
the nanny websites will do like a basic background screening, but you can
Right.
pay for an additional one, and they run like all states, everything. And
Good.
so,
Good.
yeah, they've been really good to us. I can't
Good.
complain.
I'm
I did
glad you
have to
have that
fire
help.
one, but they've been good.
And it's okay to fire nannies if you need to. I remember us having that conversation about when you had to fire them, and I would have fired her too, because listen, we don't play that. We're paying you for a reason. Let's do your job, please.
Right.
That's good. And then you said something, you were almost there in postpartum. I went through my own struggle this year, but mine wasn't really depression. Mine was like this anxiety. Like I just get anxious about everything. And I really had to kind of like go into like support groups and figure out like, I knew I wasn't the only one, but it's good to like know out there like other people are going through exactly what you're
Mhm.
going through, and
Mhm.
and it's okay if you need to get help for that too, whether it's postpartum depression, anxiety, whatever it is. Give yourself permission to go and get help, because you said something else that was good, is it's a lot. Motherhood is a lot. And I think some people
Mhm.
don't even want to admit that it's hard. I'm the first one to be like, this is hard. Like
And I'm
I
the second. Show is.
like I'm about to tell you the truth. I'm not about to be like, oh, it's all butterfly and rainbows. Do we love our kids? Absolutely. But is it
Yeah.
hard work? It really is
Yeah.
difficult.
For sure.
Difficult
For
being a
sure.
mom. So let's segue into best advice you would give moms. And you could speak to twin moms, you could speak to whoever you want to. What's like advice that you've been given, or just something that you think is really good for moms to have?
I don't know if this is just for moms or just like women in general, but like going through this pregnancy, like really like forced me out of my shell, and like I actually started like therapy. I don't even know if I told you this,
Hmm.
but at first I was like, I don't need no therapy.
Right, right,
I'm good. I can
right.
figure this out
I
myself.
got this.
But like I think like the most important thing is like remembering you. Like,
Mm,
like they say, if you ain't good, ain't nobody else gonna be good, right? So like
100%.
so like I like literally like I will not forget the day. It was like my breaking point, and I was
Mm,
like, if I don't talk to somebody, I don't know how I'm gonna make it to the next day.
right. Mm,
So I literally like just started like researching therapists, and long story short, I found one, and she has been like my lifesaver.
wow.
Like
That's huge.
she like even like my first visit with her, she's like she could see it on me
Right.
that like
Something's not
something ain't
right.
right.
Yeah.
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 So I think just like remembering you and taking care of you, like in the midst of being a mother, is like very important, because if you lose yourself, like everything else just falls as well,
It
you
does.
know?
It really does.
So I think just taking time, taking that self care time, taking breaks, because you don't got to do everything in one day.
Hello.
And that's
Preach.
what she taught me. Everything on my to do list did not got to be done today.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I think that's what I was doing. Like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. It's not that many hours in a day to do all this.
No,
Like, you're
no.
going to go crazy going
Right.
like
You were
that, which
overwhelming
I
yourself.
was.
Yeah.
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 And she's like, I could tell you're like a high achieving kind of woman, which is good, but you need to slow down.
Right.
Like it's not healthy, you
Right.
know. So I'm just like really trying to learn to find balance, and I'm still learning. And she's
Good.
helping me with that. So
Good.
yeah, just taking time for you.
Absolutely. Taking time for yourself. And if that looks like therapy, finding a therapist that's good for you, and moving
Yeah.
past that, you found in your first therapist, you really liked her. But
Mhm.
as a counselor, myself, if you don't like the counselor, if you don't like your therapist, give yourself permission to find a new one. Like, don't stay if you don't feel like it's helping. Don't stay there because you're
Mhm.
there for a
Mhm.
reason. You're there to get
Right.
help. You're there to get clarity.
Mhm.
You're there to work through things. So it's okay to say, "Hey, this is not working. Let me go find somebody else." Don't sit in
Yeah.
a rut. You know, if you
Yeah.
need to. What does self care look like for you? Like, what do you love to do that really helps you pour back into yourself? What's self care for you?
Um. So I was recently listening to Sarah Jake's podcast. I forget who she was interviewing, but um, whoever she was talking to that day, she gave me this idea of something called a joy list,
Okay.
right? And so, anytime I'm having a bad day, which was today, I almost canceled on you.
Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Listen, we're blessed to have her. I told y'all. I told y'all in the beginning.
I know it takes you like 3 times, like, JK, look, today, it ain't a good day today, okay?
And you know what? In true fashion, I'd have been like, well, we just got to reschedule and that's okay. We'll figure out another day and another time. But
But
I'm glad
yeah,
you're
so
here.
she created, thank you. So she created this joy list, and
Hmm.
it's essentially if you're having a bad day, you go to your joy list and you pick one thing on there. So all of these things that you list on there bring you joy. They make you
Mm,
feel better.
hmm.
So I just started this like a month ago, and like some of the things I put on there is listening to a podcast,
Hmm.
um, going to get a facial, which I did today because I had a bad day.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, just little things like making my candles because that relaxes me and it
Hmm.
kind of like I don't think about anything else when I'm doing that.
Right.
So, and sometimes it could just be like listening to a certain song or going for a walk. It doesn't have to like involve money or anything like that. It's just whatever makes you happy. So I
Right.
try like when I'm feeling bad, let me go to this list. Let me see
Right.
what's gonna bring
Right.
me joy today. And it's
I
just
like
something
that.
simple. But yeah, that's what I've been doing lately.
I love that. A joyless. Let me write that
Mhm.
down. I told y'all I'm about to get my pen. You think I'm playing? Because I listen, I these podcast interviews are just as much therapeutic for me as hopefully they are for listeners too, because I just feel like as moms a lot of times we don't usually have an outlet to just talk about all the things. Like, yes, motherhood is beautiful, but let's talk about the hard things and let's talk about what helps us on the hard days. Let's talk about how do we fill our cup back up, because we are literally raising the next generation and it's not to be taken for granted. So the joy
Mhm.
list, moms out there, get a list. What brings you joy on the bad days? And it works because she was gonna cancel, but she went and got her facial, and she's here tonight to give us
Mhm.
all this wonderful, wonderful advice. So I'm so glad that you heard about the joy list and now you shared that with us. And moving past that, how did you get your candle business up and running while you were a mom and a wife? And I think you were in the wedding industry, wedding planning
Mhm.
too, weren't you?
Mhm.
And did you start it when you were pregnant? I'm trying to get
Before I
my
was pregnant.
before you're pregnant. Okay, so how did you? So you already had your daughter. You're
Mhm.
in the wedding industry. You're a nurse practitioner. You're married at the time. How? What gave you the strength to start this candle business? Like, what did that look like?
Well, it was during COVID, so we were
Okay.
at home.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
was a nurse practitioner, but I was doing tele visits, so video visits from home.
Right.
And I have been talking about starting a candle company forever.
Hmm.
I had like years ago went to classes and all this stuff, but just never did it.
Right.
And so like during COVID, I had got bored. I literally got bored. And Chris was the one who was like, "Why don't you start your candle stuff?"
Mm.
I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna try that out."
Right. Right.
So I literally like started ordering all my stuff, and the rest is history. Like I started making candles, and it didn't take me long because I already knew like exactly what I had to do,
Right.
and it
Right.
like worked out. So started that, and it literally like took off. Like
Yeah.
I Melted Mood Candle
I
Company,
was
if
just
you
about to say, are you gonna plug your business? Because I sure didn't say the name. I'm over here like Melted Moon.
Melted Mood Candles. It's an Instagram handle.
And what's your
uh,
website? What's your website?
meltedmood.com.
Meltedmood.com. Okay. And I'll link that in
Yeah.
the podcast and the YouTube so that you guys can just go right to it. Click to her
Thank
candle
you.
business. Of course, of course. So
So
during the
yeah, that took
pandemic,
off. Yep,
yep.
during the pandemic, that took off. Everything went well. Was featured in a few places, and
Hmm.
then fast forward, I got pregnant with the twins,
Right.
and I was still doing it at first, but then my energy was not there.
Right.
So
Right.
carrying them, so I just put that on pause.
Right.
So I've been on pause for I guess like my majority of half of my pregnancy and then the past year.
Right.
And then I recently relaunched I guess like last month.
Yep.
Yeah, last month.
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm trying to juggle everything. It's about finding balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't gotta do everything in one day. So if I'm
Correct.
getting orders every day, the old me would have been, okay, I gotta take these orders, I gotta do this, gotta do this. The
Right.
new me is like, yeah, all them orders gonna wait until the
Right.
end of the week,
Right.
and then I'm gonna package them up and ship it. So I literally just finding like balance and what works for me.
Right.
And I keep going back to I don't got to do everything in one day because
Right.
it's literally just that.
Right.
And my wedding stuff is I'm her admin, and also
Okay.
she's recently promoted me to director of events, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
little more work coming along. But
Right.
I'm just using my planner and pacing myself, literally. Like some days when I get home from work, I'm not gonna be doing that stuff, you
Right.
know.
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
be relaxing, spending time with my husband, spending time with my daughter, and
Right.
then I set certain days. Okay, Thursdays, this is when I'm gonna do my wedding stuff.
Okay.
So like 1 or 2 times a week, I'm gonna catch up and do everything I need to do for that.
Right.
And the same with melted moves, stuff like that. So just finding balance and what works for you.
Right. And so pulling through everything that you just said, finding balance is huge, but staying organized in a way, like even if you don't get everything done the day that it's supposed to get done, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's another
Yeah.
day in the week, but you have to be organized, like
For sure.
organize your way. And so I like that. Thursdays is my wedding day, and let's say Tuesdays is your candle day or whatever. But finding
Mhm.
some kind of organization is how you're able, because I know people are listening, they're like, how is she managing all of this? It's
Mhm.
just that, getting organized, and then also going back to starting your business during the pandemic. Moms that are listening out there, if you have an idea and you have a dream, okay, just because you're a mom, let's not get lost in motherhood, because you still have dreams. You're still a human being, and we're teaching our kids to dream big. So dream big, and if it doesn't matter if it doesn't take off in the first year. Heck, it doesn't matter if it don't take off in the second year. Keep
Mhm.
going, because you will be rewarded for doing that thing, even if it's just to fill you up, even if you don't make a lot of money from it. If it's to fill your cup, and that's going to help you be a better mom, that's going to help you be a better wife, friend, sister, whatever it may be, I think it's
Mhm.
it's worth it to start that business. So
Yeah, and
kudos
your
to you.
kids, like I'm noticing now more like Maddie is watching me.
Right.
Like,
Right.
she knows mommy has a candle business and she's
Right.
like, Mommy, can I help you? And I'm like, yeah.
I love that. I love
And so
that.
like she's helping me make them or like package them, when she feel like it.
Right. Of
But
course.
they're like they actually watch you, like they see you like thriving. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I
And
love
so like
that.
later on I think that's gonna help them out to say like, wow, I remember when my mom was doing XYZ. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right. And if
yeah,
she can do it, then why can't I do it? So you're like
yeah.
the perfect example for your kids. Like you're not just telling them something, you're actually living it too. And
Mhm.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
What surprised you most about motherhood? Like when you became a mom, like what surprised you the most? Or what did you think was gonna be easy and it was like really hard? Or what did you think was gonna be hard and it was easy? What surprised you?
Everything.
Basically.
Like I was like, my mom ain't tell me none of this. Okay, like none of
That
this.
part, I'm like, now, mom, now you told me some good life things, but you did not tell me how hard it was going to be to juggle everything. Like, come on, somebody. Like that's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
juggling your marriage, and then on top of that, your kids, and you want to
Mhm.
have your friends, and you want to have a business, or you want to even do good at your own job. It's hard to juggle everything. So everything surprised you.
Yeah.
Just being
I
that you
mean,
like
yeah, like people say you have an advantage because you're in the medical field. I don't know nothing about no
right, exactly.
baby.
Yeah, hold up, and it's totally
Yeah, so I
different.
was kind of like it's
Really?
totally different. Yeah, and I'm like,
No.
I don't know, like I was like literally like asking like friends who had just had babies, like how you do this, how you do this,
Right,
how you do
right,
this.
Right.
Because your mama don't be knowing. They
No.
had kids in 20 years, but a lot of stuff has changed. You know,
Right. They're
like
so
I
far
want to,
removed.
yeah, like taking classes, like literally just educating myself because I didn't know, like the breastfeeding stuff. Like, how do I breastfeed twins? Like,
Right.
how the heck is this about to work? You know,
Right.
like just like literally like joining like Facebook groups. There's so many
Yes.
twin groups
Yes.
that and they give so much advice in there. So literally just really just reaching out to like a lot of support groups. Really, I did a lot of
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
even after my surgery, like I was in so many support groups.
Right. I think that's great. I mean, Facebook groups do get a bad name because sometimes people do be on there acting a fool. So you do have to like sift through some of the garbage, but like sift through it. Like delete what you don't need, hide the posts that are crazy. But people really do give solid,
Yeah,
solid
they do.
advice,
They
especially
do.
for me, like you said, breastfeeding your twins. I never had twins, but the breastfeeding groups, like I was trying to figure out how I was going to make it to a year because I was like, this is hard. And I mean, there are some days like literally tears in my eyes. Like, I really don't want to do this anymore. How am I
Hmm.
going to push through? And I promise you, those Facebook groups are what got me through because literally you just don't know. And then sometimes you
Yeah.
ask people, and if you don't have somebody who just had a baby, they're so far removed, they're like, I don't remember. And
Hmm.
and sometimes you don't want to
Hmm.
sit and read a book. You want to be
No,
able to
I ain't
just
got time to read a book.
right, right. Who has time for that? You want to be able
Yeah.
to just go to your phone, search a keyword, and it pulls up all the information that you need. So I think that's
Yeah.
great. Facebook groups really, really did help. That's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, how would you describe your parenting style? So with you juggling everything, how would you describe how you are as a mom? Like, are you the laid back, cool mom? Would you say you're the strict mom? Are you the disciplinarian? What kind of mom are you?
Is this like textbook moms? I don't know what these
No, this is
styles are.
make
Oh.
a I don't know. Listen, I don't know all the parenting styles. I know there's like, there's conscious parenting. That's the
I don't even
big
know.
keyword right now where you're just like really calm with your kids and you kind of it's like
Oh.
baby led everything. You kind of let them explore the world. Just like
Yeah,
what do
I
you
know
think your style is? Are you just, kind of fly by the seat of your pants? Are you the
that.
super structured, organized mom? Like, oh, this is your nap time, this is your snack time, this, how
For
would you
the
say?
babies, yes. For
Okay.
Maddie, not so much. So
Okay.
yes, for the babies, they
Hmm.
are on a schedule from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
I think with babies it helps them because they need structure when they're like younger, and it helps
Right.
like keep them on their sleep schedule
Right.
and their feeding schedule, their play schedule, etc. So I'm pretty strict
Uh-huh.
parenting style when it comes to the twins
Right.
because it works for us. Now it may not
Right.
work for everybody.
Of course, of
Um,
course.
now Maddie, she can just do it. Not what she won't, but
But she's so
but
sweet. She's such a sweet soul too, though.
yeah, she is sweet. Yeah.
Every kid is different.
So I'm a bit more laid back with her. And of
Okay.
course, like, she still has some structure of like when she needs to go to bed because she's in kindergarten now, and even
Right.
before kindergarten, she still had bedtime.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I guess I'm more laid back with her versus the twins. So kind of, she still know what to do, what not to do. She still know when I give her that look, she better go sit down.
Like stop, right. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because I feel like we all have that mom look. Like every mom
Mhm.
I've ever met just has that look that you give your kids, like, you
Mhm.
better stop playing or
Mhm.
or you're about to be in trouble. Everybody has
So
that look.
yeah, I think that's my style. I don't know how to categorize it, but
Yeah. So just it sounds like with the twins very structured and it's because they're young and you want to keep them on and I'm learning now with my 1 year old is like I know with my 3 year old we did not have a very good schedule. I was just kind of like whatever, we're going to go to bed whenever when you're tired and then that started to get old. So now it's like okay, bath
yeah,
time is this time, but I was kind of just
yeah,
like fly by your seat of the pants cuz I was like I don't know. How
yeah.
am I supposed to
And
know?
I think having Maddie's first, like God knew he was gonna be able to twins, but
He
I
did.
think having her first really helped prepare me to handle them
Right.
and kind of know like what, even though it's like a 4 year gap, it's still like just like having some type of foundation, like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
I know people about to have a baby, they never even change a diaper, or just like the basic things, or like knowing like what we don't want to do, like the
Right.
mistakes we made with Maddie, like not to
Right.
do that with the twins.
Right.
So
Right.
Like Maddie, when she was a baby, we didn't have her like on a necessary like sleep schedule. I wish
Right.
we had. It
Yeah.
would have been a lot easier. But like with the twins, when they were, well, I guess like a few months old, and they should be sleeping longer, they weren't. One was up literally, and one was down. They were like on opposite schedules.
Uh-huh.
And the breastfeeding, I was going crazy. So I'm like, okay, some gotta give. So then
Right.
I looked at Facebook, the
Uh-huh.
support group,
Right.
and then I saw one of my friends was in there that had twins like maybe like 3 years ago. So I
Uh-huh.
like messaged her, and she's like, "What type of schedule are they on?" I'm like, "I ain't on no schedule. What schedule
Right.
they want to be on?"
Right. Right. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she literally like sent me all this information. She sent me this lady's Instagram. She's a sleep coach.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's called, I think she's called Sweet Bees, if anybody wants to know.
Uh-huh.
And you literally like purchase, you gotta buy it, purchase her sleep manual.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, within 2 days,
Uh-huh.
our twins were sleeping through the night. They sleep 12 hours every night.
Wow. Yeah,
And
we
I'm
I
like, this is stuff like, and I got this from somebody else,
right.
so it's not
Right.
like I knew this,
I'm telling you,
like
sharing is caring.
you just gotta learn as you go.
You do. And oh my gosh, that's like my favorite phrase. You have to learn as you go. Really, there's no manual in motherhood. And that's why I think it's so important to have some kind of tribe out there, to have somebody you can talk to, because really moms give the best advice. And not everything is for everybody too. Like, you have to take some things
Yeah,
with a grain of salt. Like, some
yeah.
things just are not going to work for you. Like, some advice somebody gives you might not work for you, and that's okay. Leave it. But
Hmm.
then there is some
Yeah.
advice that's really going to change how you mother, and it's just going to be such a world of difference. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
had that person. I'm like I said, with my 3-year-old, no schedule. With my 1-year-old, we're trying to get on a schedule, but hey, I'm a work in progress.
Like, I know you had to breastfeed it now, so I'm like, JK,
Right,
I'm reaching out to you.
right,
What I'm supposed to be doing,
right,
girl?
right, right. Because I
Like,
went two
I don't know.
years, two
Yeah.
years with my first, and then with my second one, we're at 13 months now, and I don't know. I don't think I'll make it to 2 years with this one because it's just, whoo, it's
Good
tough,
job,
man.
JK.
Thank you, thank you. It's a lot of work. It's one of my biggest accomplishments today.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. All right. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to wrap up. Is there any other tidbits of information that you want to leave with moms? Anything else that you can think that would be helpful to a mom listening, that's helped you on your journey?
Um, I would say a few things, like especially if you're in a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
um, just to make sure that you guys have patience with one another,
Mm,
and it's a learning experience for both of you, right? So
yes.
just like have patience with one another, keep the date nights alive. Like me and
Yeah.
Kristen have more date nights with these kids than probably had these
Listen, they are the king and queen, not just of date
kids.
nights, of traveling too. Like, I
We don't really
literally
travel,
look up,
JK.
they're
We
lying.
don't
You're
go.
she's lying. She is
Everybody always say
lying.
that he travels a lot for work. I don't be going nowhere.
He travels a lot for work, and their little motto is once again it's on. And every time I see that, I'm like, yes, I get to live through them. Where are they going this time? But no, I
Oh
think
my
that's
god.
solid advice. Date nights are very important. They really are. You don't want to get so lost in your kids, because once the kids are out the house, you're back with your your significant other. So I think that's
Yeah.
huge. That's solid advice.
Yeah. And then I mean I already said the other stuff about like, not feeling like so much pressure that you
Right.
have to get everything done. And also don't compare yourself to other parents. Like, like they say, everybody ain't gonna put the good and bad on social media, and that's
Right.
all that a lot of people
Right.
look at. Like,
Right.
do what's best for you and your family,
Yep.
and don't compare yourself to everyone else, because you may think that other person is doing good, but they really not. Like
Exactly.
everybody don't have it together 24/7. I ain't have it together today. Okay,
I don't have it
so.
today most days. Most days, if you had a camera following me around, I'm the hot
True.
mess express. Here I am. Yep.
No,
Yep.
this is like a revolving door. Like you just have to have patience, keep learning, keep praying,
Yep.
stay grounded,
Yep.
and I think everything else will follow.
Absolutely. Ebonyck, thank you so much for coming
You're
on the
welcome.
SOR-EHS podcast
Thanks for
where
having me,
SHEroes meet.
Karen.
Oh my gosh, I had such a good time tonight. Make sure you guys continue to share this podcast. Sharing is caring. The advice that was given tonight is solid gold. I promise it will help you on your motherhood journey. And I will see you guys back here next week for another episode.